So I may be a bit scattered this morning. I was trying to get everything together this morning. I'm still fighting off a migraine. Um, so, I've heard the saying before. Before people kind of talk about the Bible, and they say, "Well, I know the end. I know the end of the book." And so I got to thinking about it, and I asked myself this question, have you ever been in a situation where, you wanted to see a movie or read a book, and you have somebody that blurts out, "Oh, that's the one where that person dies," and it's like, gee, thanks, no regard for your puny ambitions of going on this wonderful adventure, mystery and for yourself, just let me save you the trouble and tell you the end, So, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that kind of a rush to the finish line? Most of us would look at it and say, that this is a journey that I want to take myself through this book or through this movie. That's the real value. We can establish the circumstances, the relationships, the struggles that the characters have to go through, with one another and in the world that they live in. When I was growing up, this was a big thing back when, Sega and Nintendo and all these things started coming out. I remember we got a Sega console for Christmas one year, and it was the greatest thing when I walked into a video where you rent movies. Those don't exist anymore. You go in there and one day I went in there and I saw this thing that said Game Genie. I'm like, what is that? It wasn't a game itself. It was Game Genie. And, I started reading on the back of the box, and it said, oh, you plug this into the cartridge and then plug it all in together, and it'll allow you to have so many lives. And, you basically, it was a way to cheat the game. It was a way to, hack the game. You could have all kinds of, nowadays we'd call them cheat codes. You punch in a cheat code and you can never die, basically. So, you become invincible or all powerful throughout this game, and someone would want to allow you to start on the last level of a game. So you're there, just one person to defeat and you've won the game. Well, the same thing was available. Like I noticed on the PlayStation, they changed it to Game Shark instead of Game Genie. It would allow the same type of shortcuts, and then so you ask yourself, what's so wrong with that? What's wrong with getting to the end without going through everything, So, today I entitled this message "Spoiler Alert," because that's the thing we have to do now. If somebody hasn't seen the movie, and spoiler alert, I'm about to tell you something. So, the other day it was actually the other night. We were driving through town here, and Lauren likes to plug up her phone and listen to music and stuff like that as we're going along every once in a while. And she turned on this song. It's a country song. It's an old country song. It's a very short song, but it's called "The Dance" by Garth Brooks. And this song, it's talking about, it's kind of giving a metaphor. It's saying, yeah, I could have missed all this stuff in between and just had the good parts of this relationship, but then I would have missed the dance, the give and take, and it's a metaphor of the give and take that you have with someone in an intimate relationship, the things that you have to work through, and out of that song, basically, the key is the journey. It's what we go through. It's how we're shaped, basically, how we are to deal with those who we come in contact with, and what our attitudes and how we react. So I want to turn to Psalms 23. Everyone knows this group of scriptures here because, it's the Lord's Prayer. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And I normally see, where I normally consistently see this read is at funerals. I just about every funeral I've ever been to, I've heard this passage read, and and I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, this is pretty much our journey through life and the promises that God gives us condensed into 6 verses there. And I got to looking into, because the very first verse always is kind of, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, and I was like, that's always kind of weird, because in, modern English, we're like, why wouldn't you want him to be your shepherd? But it, and as I looked at it in the Amplified, it says, I shall not lack, so, that was kind of a revelation to me, because it's like, I am your everything, you're not lacking anything. So as we go down through here in thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. The rod is to protect, and the staff is to guide, and that was in the Amplified as well. And I thought that was, because it shows here that he throughout this journey of life, he is going to be there to guide and protect and to fulfill every need that you have. So that was just it was something that I'd never seen in that psalm before. It was just kind of an eye-opening thing for me, because that was, it may have been at my grandfather's funeral, it may have been the only passage read from the Bible, and I thought, it made me think about it, and I was like, why do I hear this at every funeral I go to? And there was so much more in there that I just did not understand. And it's one of those things, you hear it so much, it almost becomes, okay, yeah, I know that by heart, but I don't know it. I know the words, but I don't know, the meanings and what's behind the words. So it was an eye-opening thing for me. So, going on about this journey of life, turn to Zechariah 13, verse 9. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined. Will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God. And kind of going off of that in Malachi 3:3, he will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver, and he will purify the priests, the sons of Levi, and refine them like gold and silver, that they may offer to the Lord offerings in righteousness. And that's us. I mean, purify the priests, the sons of Levi. Of course, back then it was a certain group that they were speaking of. But nowadays, I mean, in the new covenant, that's us. He's going to purify us. That's why we have to go through this journey. That's why we can't skip to the end, because we miss all that in between. The journey is necessary. It means that it's the means that we're shaped and refined. God will have a people wholly dedicated to Him and His will. In Jeremiah 29, and this is the Amplified, verse 11, for I know the plans and thoughts that I have for you, says the Lord, plans for peace and well-being and not for disaster, to give you a future and a hope. So this is a promise. This is another promise for us personally, that that there are plans for our life. There is a reason that we go through different things that to shape us, to purify us, basically, for His glory, for His will to take place in our lives. What I quickly learned about all these, the game genies and the sharks and all this stuff long ago, was that the experience of playing the games became really like uninteresting. It was just I'm at the end, wow, I got to see the last guy fall or whatever. Whenever I'd actually take my game and play against another person, usually my brothers, I got kicked around, basically, because I didn't have that power over the computer system there, that I had with the game genies and the cheat codes. I had no true skills because I hadn't been tested. I hadn't refined any skills from actually playing through the game and growing with experience. So when tempted to take the easy way, or complaining that a situation is too difficult, know that our shepherd is with us. His rod is to protect us, and his staff to guide us and comfort us. As I've heard, and like I opened up with, I've heard 100 times. I know the ending to this book. So there shouldn't be any spoiler alert message or warnings that I have to give, because we know the outcome. And in John 16, verse 29, starting in verse 29. His disciples said, "Ah, now you are speaking plainly to us and not figures of speech. How we know that you know all things and have no need for anyone to question you. Because of this we believe without any doubt that you came from God." Jesus answered them, "Do you know at last believe? Take careful notice, an hour is coming and has arrived when you will all be scattered, each to his own home, leaving me alone. And yet I am not alone, because the Father is with me. I have told you these things so that in me you may have perfect peace. In the world you have tribulation and distress and suffering, but be courageous, be confident, be undaunted, be filled with joy. I have overcome the world. My conquest is accomplished, my victory abiding." So we may go through these things in life, these tribulations, and suffer through these things that are going to try us, but this is the promise that we have, that he has overcome the world, his conquest is accomplished, his victory abiding, and I don't know why that spoke to me, but in the last couple of weeks, I've seen a lot of just a lot of death, to be frank. This past week there was another person that I went to high school with, and they'd been on a heart transplant list, and in early November they got their heart transplant. Well, I'm not really sure what happened after that. They were in the hospital for a while, and I'm not sure. I think it was their body just rejected the transplant, and passed away, a couple days before Christmas, and he was younger than I was. I remember him, being a couple grades lower than me in high school, but it's just these things that we go through, and I know the family, it has to be just devastated. He had a young boy, a young son, and his wife, and they were boyfriend and girlfriend all the way through school. So you can go back. He had the earliest pictures on Facebook. He had his young kid just out of high school, him and his girlfriend. The same too. So it's a devastating thing, and we're forced to go through these things that shapes us. That that reliance that we have to have on Christ. You know, that we're broken, basically. You know, we have to find our strength in Christ. But that's pretty much all I had. I mean, it was a very short message, but you know, I'm just seeing so much of this stuff. You know, people are just, why is this happening? Why is that happening? Why, you know, we have to go through these things. That it's part of the refiner's fire. You know, it's part of that. It's part of that tribulation that we have to go through. You know, we're not going to get picked up off the earth and nothing's going to happen to us. You know, this is part of the test. This is part of the part of the reason why, you know, we have to go through this is to test us and to mold us and shape us.